Hi guys, Harbs Narbs here. Today I'm going to be making some predictions about what we might find when we arrive in the city of Baldur's Gate. These predictions are just for fun and could be completely wrong. I'll be using a lot of data mined content from the game's files, so please don't continue watching this video if you're not interested in knowing about any spoilers. I'll also be referencing Baldur's Gate 3's D&D adventure prequel, Descent into Avernus. I'd like to say thank you to my new patrons, Vic and Scouse Wizard. Thanks for signing up and welcome to the Patreon. If something in the video isn't clear, then please leave a comment down below and I'll try my best to answer it, because I am aware that some things might require some prior knowledge of what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, let's go. So, in a video that I put out a few weeks ago, I briefly mentioned some data mined content about priests being murdered in Baldur's Gate. And like many other cities upon the Sword Coast, Baldur's Gate is diverse when it comes to the myriad of faiths that have sway there. Baldur's Gate in particular seems to be extra tolerant, with it being written in Descent into Avernus that although open worship of the Dead Three is frowned upon, their worship is not illegal, as long as worship remains within the laws. We can see some of the potential sway that the Dead Three have in Baldur's Gate when we find this case note at Joaquin's Rest. Baldur's Gate versus Flynn Silver, case for prosecution. Master Silver did, with forethought and without malice, kill William Lister and Simon Simi Trint at their home as part of an ungodly ritual to honour the Dead Three, or one of the Dead Three, the gods Bane, Baal or Merkel. Case for the defence. I don't know nothing about any gods. All I know is Bill and Simi were trying to cut me out of our deal, and they got what they had coming. But those symbols and stuff, and how their guts was arranged, I don't know nothing. Verdict, guilty sentence, death, commuted to banishment so as not to anger higher powers. The worship of the Dead Three takes place in the Twin Songs district within the outer city of Baldur's Gate, and we can see this in Descent into Avernus. While those in search of significant magic must still generally visit the larger temples in the city proper, no god is too foreign or obscure to be worshipped in Twinsong's divine sprawl, where even non-criminal worship of fiends and the Dead Three goes unchallenged. So I think it might be safe to say, given the theories that I have about the Dead Three, that the murders happening in the gate won't be happening in Twinsongs. So where are these murders happening? Well, I said that they might not be happening in Twinsongs because of its links with the shrines to the Dead Three, but I did find this line in the game files. It's not the first though. There have been other murders like this in the outer city, and they've been getting more frequent. Previous victims were all priests, but this is the first we've seen inside the temple. The remaining priests are on lockdown until we catch the perpetrator. The outer city is big and is described in Descent into Avernus as stretching forth from each of the city's external gates. The outer city sprawls in a chaotic tangle of shanties and shops, carts and tents lining the roads in hopes of bleeding off enough city trade for their owners to survive. Dirty and uncouth, the outer city holds everything the elite of Baldur's Gate resist allowing within their walls. If you played the first Baldur's Gate game, then you might remember that the majority of the temples were in the upper city, and in Descent into Avernus we can see the following written about this district. Grand cathedrals and shrines shape the skyline in this central neighbourhood, with Gond's High House of Wonders foremost among them. Priests in ceremonial finery and congregants dressed for the public eye are a common sight in this part of the city. So if murders are taking place in the city itself and the priests are on lockdown, then it is likely that the lockdown is happening in the upper city, an area which is more difficult for non-Pariah families to enter. The Watch is merciless about turning beggars and malcontents away from the gates, where an erratically enforced entry toll for non-residents and those without watch tokens or escorts effectively bars the poor from setting foot within this district. In fact, entering the upper city at night is impossible unless you are a resident, and it might be why we find lines like this added to patch 5. Please help me out here, I can help you out in turn, maybe even get you into the upper city. So when we arrive at Baldur's Gate, the residents will likely be gossiping about the murders. Those murders have got everyone on edge. I don't know if the city will ever be the same. And given what we know from previous theories, I feel like the Absolute will almost definitely be involved. We can also see this line. Look, you didn't hear this from me, but there have been some murders in the city of some pretty important folk, and the Flaming Fist think it's related to this new cult. It also seems like we might have some specific interaction with the Church of Tyr regarding these murders. Tyr is the god of justice, child. Glad as we may be to have the killer's identity known, I'm not sure just your word will be enough. I am off the clock while the temple is on lockdown. Tyr is great and glorious, but his holy light sometimes overlooks the shadowed crannies of the human condition. I wish I could help you, truly, but we are on lockdown in this temple, so long as there is a serial killer on the loose. I cannot, in good conscience, risk being murdered and leaving Tyr's temple without guidance. So we're clearly going to be met with a rather grisly situation regarding the temples and churches. But who is investigating these crimes? The Watch usually have jurisdiction over the upper city, but something as far-reaching as this, which potentially involves an outside faction, i.e. the Absolute, it would likely be handled by the Flaming Fist.
I serve the Flaming Fist!
However, we can see another group in the game files called Ansurs' Finest, and I expect that when we arrive there will be a significant amount of competition between the Flaming Fist and this new group. Let's take a look at some of these lines. Oi mate, what do you think you're doing in here? This is a crime scene under the jurisdiction of Ansurs' Finest. Go let Rand know, Ansurs' Finest is handling the investigation. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to have the case closed. You can keep your distance with the Flaming Fist and other untrained rabble. Ansurs' Finest is on the case. If we look at Descent into Avernus, we can see the following. With the Flaming Fist distracted by the refugee crisis, city folk are being hunted and murdered in the streets by cultists of the Dead Three, the evil gods Bane, Baal and Merkel. Without the Flaming Fist to curtail them, these cultists have grown bold and now move freely within the city, their activities financed and supported in secret by Duke Thalamra van Tampa. Thalamra is a duke and a secret devil worshipper who is financing the Dead Three cultists' murders in order to discredit the Flaming Fist. She was also responsible for Ravengard heading to Elturel before its fall. Duke Thalamra van Tampa was especially convincing, having gathered petitions from the nobility as well as leaders of the common rabble. We know that Ravengard has now been captured by the Absolute, and I've mentioned this before, but I wonder if Baldur's Gate 3 will focus on some of Descent into Avernus' plot points. On the very first teaser trailer, we see the Dead 3 symbol right before a bunch of dead Flaming Fist soldiers, so their direct effect upon the city is clear. And we can see lines in the game's files indicating the disorder happening within the Flaming Fist and the city's difficulty in the absence of Ulder Ravengard, which also reflects what Thalamra van Tampa wanted in Descent into Avernus. Let's compare these sets of lines between Descent into Avernus and Baldur's Gate 3. At the same time, panic swept through the ranks of the Flaming Fist, which suddenly found itself without a strong leader. Ravengard's the invisible force which binds Baldur's Gate. Without him, the city's collapse is certain. Without Ulder Ravengard to stay their hand, Flaming Fist captains are brutally exercising their autonomy under the veneer of maintaining order. Return Ravengard and you restore order. Restore order and the city survives. The theme that Ravengard is the glue holding Baldur's Gate together is visible in Baldur's Gate 3 and Descent into Avernus, and I'm sure that we will see the effects of his absence in the game. It may be with his power vacuum that Ansurs' Finest steps in, who, unlike their Flaming Fist counterparts, seem slightly more noble in their goals. Just look at this line from a recruitment letter. Citizen Ramira, we received your application with interest and noted your experience in the field with great enthusiasm. However, your letter's repeated reference to pay and bounty indicate motivations perhaps at odds with those of the Finest. We are sure you would make a fine addition to any adventuring guild and wish you luck in finding one more compatible with your own particular priorities. Regards, Severin Bask, Recruitment Officer for Ansurs' Finest. Instead, the corruption and incompetence within the Flaming Fist is evident, and there are lines that indicate that they may also have been infiltrated by the cult itself. Can you imagine a goblin religion here in Baldur's Gate? It's beyond me why the Flaming Fist hasn't done something about it already. And speaking of that quote specifically, we can see an actual Magic the Gathering card from the new Forgotten Realms set that seems to reference this corruption. It could just be a coincidence, but Wizards of the Coast are known for linking up their products. Anyway, let's get back to the lines. There's something you should know. Marcus the Flaming Fist is a true soul. He's planning to kidnap Isabel. Another link between Descent into Avernus and Baldur's Gate 3 is the refugee crisis affecting the city, and I will focus on this more in part 2, but we can already see how the Flaming Fist are reacting to the crisis within Descent into Avernus. The flood of refugees from Elturel has gotten worse since news first arrived that the city has fallen. Apparently, Ravengard is missing. In his absence, the Flaming Fist has sealed the city's gates to staunch the flow of refugees. No one is allowed in or out. This second line is important because it pretty much links up directly with things that we can see in the game files regarding how difficult it is to enter the city. Welcome to Baldur's Gate, go ahead and register with Captain Osric at the gate, if you have an entry card. Baldur's Gate is closed to travellers, do you have an entry card? We're not letting anyone new into the city right now though, one of the cultists got Captain Osric. Anyway, in part 2 the video is going to be focusing on the refugee crisis that we will likely find waiting for us at the city, and also a mysterious disease. Not COVID. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video then do please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!